Hello, everyone, and happy holidays. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. Matt, Christy, Alonso.
Hi.
The movie that I have maybe been most excited about this year, with the possible exception of Pain and Glory, Paul Feig's Last Christmas. It's finally in theaters.
It is. And I know you were super psyched for it for a multitude of reasons. I was as well, because I love me some George Michael. When I was 13 years old for my birthday, I went to the Wham concert. It was awesome.
Ooh.
They did Everything She Wants twice. I don't know why.
She wanted everything.
I did. She wanted
When
twice.
I saw the Thompson twins, they did You Take Me Up twice.
I
don't
don't
know what
get
that's
it.
about.
You have a multitude of songs to play with here.
Yes.
Give us different stuff. So I love Wham. I love George Michael. I love all the pieces in play here. I wanted to love Last Christmas. Do you want to describe it since you're the Christmas guy?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Hey, everybody, have yourself a movie, Little Christmas. It's on Amazon. It's a Kindle. Now's the time to get it.
If not now, when?
Exactly. Okay.
If not you, who?
Emilia Clarke is a hot mess. She is sleeping on friends' couches and running out of friends who will let her sleep on their couches because she's just a giant pain in the ass.
Or crashing with dudes.
That too, yes, or meeting new gentleman friends in bars. And we find out that she had a terrible health crisis a year before, but she's not taking care of herself. She is trying to avoid her clingy mother, played by Emma Thompson. Her family are Slavic refugees for reasons that become important later. She works in a gloriously tacky Christmas All Year shop run by Michelle Yeoh. And one day, Emilia Clarke meets Henry Golding, who seems like Mr. Perfect guy who might help her fix her life, but he also seems a little distant. And we'll find out why. And if you saw the trailer, you probably already know why, but we're not going to give that away.
So you love this because you're you, Alonso.
I don't love it. Let's be clear.
Okay.
Like I have like standards for this sort of thing, and I like it. I like it a lot. Like I've realized that when it comes to Christmas movies, I'm one of those guys. Like, you know, those people that when they talk about horror movies and they're like, well, it wasn't that great, but it had some really good kills in it. I'm that way with Christmas. Where, like, if it gives me enough,
There are some great kills in this movie.
totally right. No, if it's a Christmas movie that gives me enough of the sort of warm fuzzies that I'm there for, I'm willing to forgive a lot. But I will grant you that this movie is not great.
Okay. And what's frustrating about it is, as you pointed out, like there's so much going on that is so great with this. Paul Feig usually has this great touch as far as blending different kinds of tones, which we saw in Bridesmaids, which we saw in Spy so beautifully.
Sure.
And so here he's trying to do, you know, the wacky kind of screwball romantic comedy, but also with some drama and some emotional heft. I think a lot of the problem is the way this film is cut. It is cut in a really kind of erratic way, like in that dinner scene alone where Emilia Clarke goes home and has dinner with her mom and dad and her sister. Like, it cuts around all of them all the time for no apparent reason, in a way that is like, it's sort of jarring in an almost subliminal way. Like, you feel that in your pores, like this, like you're uncomfortable and should not be for that reason.
Do we think, because I think the flaws maybe come from Emma Thompson's script that she co-wrote with Brian E. Kimmings?
That's also really inconsistent because she has a number of just tremendous zingers. Like, I laughed out loud a good solid handful of times, but she's trying to get, again, the romantic comedy in here. She's trying to get a heart-tugging story. She's trying to get all the joy of Christmas. There's also an underlying Brexit subplot.
Yes.
You know,
Which,
and
as Dave said, Paddington 2 is a better Brexit movie.
I mean, the action in this film literally stops so some guy on the bus can say to all the other passengers, go back where you came from. And I appreciate the spirit of that. I appreciate the point she's trying to make, but it feels very wedged into this very crammed Christmas pudding.
I think I like this more than Alonso, which is somewhat shocking.
It's strange, right?
I had a relatively good time at this movie. The script is a mess. There are some good lines in it, but it really needed, aside from that, like, first of all, like, the story and the way it all goes down is a little bonkers. And I'm not going to give it away, but,
No.
but
Yeah.
to the point that the more you start thinking about it, you're like, wait, what? That doesn't, I mean, more so than I think people are even going back and looking at Terminator Dark Fate and be like, hey, wait a minute. There's a lot of that going on.
Because time travel is not an excuse here.
Neither is what else is going on. That being said, everybody is putting in decent enough performance, and the cast sells it. And the cast takes this really weak script and they sell it. And the thing is, Emilia Clarke, you're right, is a total hot mess, just like she was in Me Before You, which is not very good. But she, I think, is going to end up taking the Sandra Bullock space of like the hot mess character,
but lovable.
Like, her life's a mess, but she's lovable, and she knows it's a mess, but she's got enough charm that you kind of believe, like, well, I guess I see how she survives. Henry Golding is as charming as he, if not more so, than he was in Crazy Rich Asians. I think that I will still, and I've been saying this for months, I still think he'd be a great James Bond.
And there's a moment in this where he kind of pretends to be like a James Bond figure, or you can see the glimmers of that.
Right, he's doing a Sean Connery, which is not great, but I think that we might. You'll hear more chatter about that when Six Underground comes out, because that's the action movie that he's in.
Okay. He totally reminded me of Cary Grant in The Bishop's Wife in this, and that's as high as praise as I got.
Yeah, so. There's a lot of that, and I think that I wish that we got more of Emma Thompson being funny. She does have probably the single funniest line in the whole movie. I wish we had more of her getting to be funny, because she, we all know that she can do really great comedy, as can Emilia Clarke. Like,
and I think also on that, so much of the movie we are intended to basically take Emilia Clarke's word for it for what Emma Thompson is like. And if we got to know Emma Thompson's character better firsthand, we could make up our own minds about that.
And somewhat similarly, like, one of the things this movie does is it takes, including Clarke, it takes some actors that we're not used to really seeing in comedy. Clarke and Michelle Yeoh,
Michelle Yeoh is hilarious.
Michelle Yeoh can be really funny, and I kind of wish that the script was better and supported them better. Their timing's great, and they're making the most out of the material they have. And the thing is, like, they're charming enough, their charm, and I thought that Golding and Clarke had really good chemistry. That I was like, okay, now granted, like,
I did have a good time. I don't want to sound like I'm I did enjoy myself, and I recommend this movie, with reservations, and with, like, just know that this is like, in my review for TheWrap, I basically said it's sort of like when you think of an artist that isn't Bing Crosby or Mariah Carey, and you think about their Christmas album, it's not necessarily like their best record, but it's, you like
fun.
it for the Christmas reasons.
It's heartwarming.
This is Paul Feig's Christmas album. I don't know that I love Emilia Clarke in this.
Her eyebrows are very distracting. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah,
the cord keeps popping. If I move my boobs at all anywhere near, if only I weren't
for
so well
God's sake,
endowed.
Christy.
Dang it. All right.
It doesn't make a bunch of noise when I move my boobs. So.
After this one, I'll fix it. I promise. I'm sorry about that.
I apologize, listeners, if your ears have exploded. My boobs are just too much for this show. Apparently, for Alonso's equipment.
Yeah, this never happens to Dave. But
Can we talk about the George Michael songs? Because
yes,
they're a really crucial through line here. They are the reason that this movie exists. The fact that the song Last Christmas.
A little overly so.
If you have been listening to the George Michael channel on Sirius XM, as I have been 24 hours a day, you've gotten your fill, certainly, and they play all the old Wham stuff. It's so great. So Emma Thompson does this little interstitial thing where she explains how she was friends with George Michael, and before his death they had talked about doing a musical using his songs, like a jukebox musical kind of thing with his songs, and he had totally given his blessing to use his music in a movie, and she did this with it. And the use of the songs is so hit and miss, because sometimes it's really painfully on the nose, like Emilia Clarke wakes up and on the TV is a video for Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. Things like that. That's kind of painful. But then, like, the scene where they go ice skating to Praying for Time, that's lovely.
There's a montage to Freedom 90 that raised my score for this film. Like, it was so everything I wanted the whole movie to be, that I was like, okay, yes.
I came out of this movie and I wanted to go karaoke.
Yes.
I mean, more so than I normally do.
I was going to say, that's
there's a lot, I think, that the music goes a long way in this. The other thing that I kind of liked about this is, somewhat knowing that Emilia Clarke had her own health scare, and this movie kind of gets into what, again,
she did. I didn't know
as
that.
someone who
before Game of Thrones.
During Game of Thrones.
Right, but sorry, between seasons 1 and 2. That's right.
She had her own, potentially fatal health scare.
That's right.
Like this character does.
I forgot about that.
Having had, gone through something similar, and seeing, kind of the recovery and like seeing how that and the movie the movie could have delved into this, but at least it was interesting to see, especially because Michelle Yeoh brings it up, like, you were so great, you were so into this ahead of time, and then you went away and you came back and you're a mess, right? And the movie kind of starts to get into that and what it's done to her. And that kind of rang true for me. Like
I forgot about that part. The one thing that is an interesting kind of flip of the usual script of the romantic comedy is that he is the manic pixie dream girl. And she is the one
is also
in need.
a manic pixie.
No, she's a manic elf. But she usually like the guy needs to be rescued. No, but usually like the girl is like the manic pixie dream girl, and she's like
the stabilizing influence.
Effervescent and wacky,
And
but like
loves
also
life
brings hope and life, and that's what Henry Golding is here, and she's like the cynical, stoic mess whose life is falling apart, who needs to find redemption.
Interesting.
That's the only thing that might be a little novel here.
Okay.
We cannot talk about the ending.
No, but again, if you saw the trailer and you thought, wait, does this happen? You were probably right.
If you've been on Twitter and seen like various theories as to what happens in this movie and thought they were too insane, no, they all happen. It keeps piling on top of itself. And either you're going to go with it or you're not.
And I have to say this, because I called out Joker for this. It does the same thing where it delivers a twist and then they feel like they have to show their work.
That's why I leaned over to you and said the thing I said to you. Anyway, I found that frustrating as well. Again, if you're just there for like the escape of it, then great. But also it's trying to be rooted in a realistic world that's telling a story with a message with all the Brexit stuff and the homelessness.
Yeah, but also
it's trying to have it all.
But in a London that looks like the snow globe version.
Right.
Like the
the
homeless shelter has so many lights on it.
Right.
It's insane.
That London exists in the same world that When Harry Met Sally's New York lives.
Yeah, or Love Actually.
Notting
is
Hill.
London,
Yeah.
It's trying to do a lot. It's trying to cram in a lot, and it works sometimes.
It is trying to be Richard Curtis, I think, quite often, and doesn't quite, and I wish it had just been more Paul Feig. And there are the Paul Feig things you like. He always manages to find cool comedy people to do cameos. So you get like Rob Delaney and Sue from Great British Baking Show, and Peter Serafinowicz and a bunch of other people.
Patti LuPone doesn't sing. She does not sing any George Michael songs.
No, but there were enough things in this movie that I liked, and I love the fact that Michelle Yeoh's Christmas shop looks like the inside of my head.
It's a frightening, cluttered place to be.
Exactly.
But delightful. So I'm saying a 5.
Fair enough. I said 6.5. If you think this is your kind of thing, it will be, and if you think it's not, it probably won't be.
You guys are a bunch of Grinches. I give it a 7.
All right.
Our number's a 6.2. It's at 43%.
Oh, boo. But here's the thing. Christmas movies are always badly reviewed when they first come out. Like, here's what I learned doing my book research. Like, you go back and you read the old reviews of, like, White Christmas or Christmas in Connecticut or the movies we think of, like, the annual standards now. Critics shat all over them when they first came out. So that does not surprise me at all. And speaking of the Grinch, by the way, I wore this shirt today.
Thank you very much. It's very festive. For those of you listening who can't see Alonso's shirt, it's his heart swelling 2 sizes.
Yes.
Very nice. I guess this is the kind of thing that like it's going to be on cable and you'll watch it while you're making Christmas cookies or whatever.
Totally.
You sing along to the songs. So 43% on the tomato meter. Critics or Grinches?
Always. All right. Well, hey, thanks for watching. Like this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And won't you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Lots of fun exclusive content for our members. Right now, we are recapping HBO's Watchmen and His Dark Materials and Apple TV Plus's The Morning Show. And we need to figure out our November classic too. We'll figure that out.
Oh my God.
maybe we'll table that till December.
Okay.
Christy's got a lot on her plate right now.
In fact, why don't you pick 5 movies for Christy to watch?
And they're all Showa.
Exactly.
Ouch.
Right. Christy's holiday card this year will be looking like Malcolm McDowell in Clockwork Orange.
Who needs sleep? I don't need sleep.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye. Merry Christmas.